If you will recall, this is the 406 Dyno Mule. And I've got the heads on it, and I've got the intake on it. These are the 440 Source stealth heads. You can see right there that I did a little port work to. And I got one push rod hanging in. I've had to do a lot of testing with this because I've got 1/6 rockers, and you really got to grind on down to get those in. Hopefully I can show you that footage in this video. I've been fighting with it, and I've got my rockers in from Hard & Sharp. Oh, that's great. And I got my new Smith Brothers push rods in, so we'll be able to stick those in, get this thing lashed up, and have it ready to drop in old Blue over here. And there is the Blue truck, 72 Dodge D100. I've got several videos on this. This is my lunch break truck, so I'll be back on that at lunchtime today. But for now, I got to get this engine stuck back together. So let's drop some push rods in and do some rocker work. I quickly stuck the push rods in, and I did previously check my pattern. You can see it's pretty wide right here. All that looks great. That's actually been a week or two ago, so I got everything in. It looks good. The lifters in this engine are solid. So they are solid roller lifters on a hydraulic roller cam. It's the exact same cam that was on the dyno. I have not removed any of that. You can see my little indention. I did a video on putting a button in this engine. All that's the same. I left the bottom end alone. Just stuck the 440 Source heads on. Push rods are in. So I'm gonna set our rockers on and we can start lashing those, and I'll kind of run through the process with you if you've never seen it before. I like Hard & Sharp rocker arms. And if you need some, I've told you in the past, call them directly and mention my YouTube channel, and Randy Jr. will get you a smoking hot deal. Better than you can do in a magazine or anywhere else, unless you're a dealer yourself or something. So, crucial part of tightening these down, most people realize, and it tells you in their instructions here, they want 15 to 20 thousandths gap per cylinder, bolt to bolt, wing cold. So of course we're cold right now. So between this bolt and this bolt, I need to be able to get that 15 thousandths feeler gauge in there, and that one's a little tight. Okay, so go through and check them all. I have not torqued these yet. And when you torque your 5 studs, they want you to go to 25 foot-pounds, the rocker hold down bolts if you're using bolts. I've got studs. It was just some that I had left over, so see, I need to get more clearance here. They want that to have enough free space that it doesn't burn the bearings up if there's too much side load on them. So right now I only have the one good one. Oh, that one's okay. So I can play with these some more. Also checking for them to be centered on that valve stem tip. It's crucial. So all that's looking pretty good. I just need to loosen back up and shim them over, move them over. Torque down both sides. I went ahead and just took my Allen wrench, and if any of these were loose, I just screwed them down so that they're not flapping in the wind. I don't have any flappers anymore that could potentially load up, get pushed up, you know, or if the push rod was too low, could somehow bind. I just screwed them down just like, show you, basically to zero lash right now. And I know they're gonna move, but when I rotate this engine, I'm only going 90 degrees. So step one, I'm on top dead center, and I'm gonna do 2 intake and 8 exhaust. So if you think of it, 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2, you start with number 2 on the intake, and then you go 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7. And it goes 8 exhaust. So you go 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2, 1. So if you needed to write it out, you just basically swap them over. But you could also do the intake, what is that? Intake open, exhaust closed. I like to do it like this. Also, it's easier if the valley pan was off and the intake was off, then you could just see the heel of the cam. And I am missing the little bars that go here, so you don't have to put that in the comments unless you really want to. But yeah, so we're gonna do 2 intake and 8 exhaust. Here's how simple it is. I'm gonna spin the push rod until it starts to drag. When I get that, feel that hard drag right there, see how I cannot spin? Right there I can spin and there's a little bit of slack. I like to go just past that, get the drag. So that is 0 lash. If you were using a feeler gauge, I think they want 2 thousandths. And I used to try that with the feeler gauge and it was a pain. So right now I like to go 0 lash, just like that. Screw that down and put my wrench back here and there. Holding this, tighten down. That's all it takes. Still spins freely. 2 intake is done. This spinning just got tight right there. Might back up just a shade. What happens is everything grows as the engine warms up. So if you have aluminum heads and cast iron block, it grows differently than if you just had cast iron heads on a cast iron block. So this is how I've done it in the past. It worked well for me. Use your own judgment on your own vehicle. There we go. I'm gonna hold that. Tightener. That's all she needs. Still spins freely. And then whenever I prime this, you can see my oil hole somewhere around the corner. There it is. That oil hole is going to fill the cup. This was a different application. I have in the past lubed inside those just to be sure. But like I said, when it primes, it's going to fill that thing full, and I'm going to watch it prime and believe it. I'm not just going to slam the valve covers on and leave them. So we'll be able to see the prime action. Got my little oil pressure line hooked up to my run stand right here. That's pretty convenient that I don't have to lay a gauge on top of the engine, whatever. Primer's in. I've got 2 quarts in it. And this filter, if you'll remember, was already full. So it shouldn't take too long to get primed up. Once it's primed up, I can screw that filter off. And when I do this for real, when it goes in the truck, I got to pull that plug out right there. You see, I've made my own plug here, but the truck oil pan goes through the side, so I'm gonna have to kind of weasel it through the headers and such. It takes a goofy 90-degree elbow, but let's see if we can get her primed up here. All right, time out. Here we come on this side. Let me get that engine tilted and it won't even drip down the side for Rick. We want to see our cups fill up, remember that. Oh yeah. I got it tilted a little bit so we won't lose any oil on the floor. Here we come. Oh yeah. Yeah. There it is. Get all the air out of there. Yummy. It coming down my cup. Just like that. And down the side of the engine. I'm sorry, Rick. I did it again. See if I can go ahead and call it for the day. My $180 eBay stainless headers are a little dirty now, but looks like I might have to dent that one in just a little bit. Make him. Oh man, it's just barely touching. I could clearance the mount, but the mounts are pretty nice. They probably cost more than the headers do now. So anyway, little truck engine is ready to be dropped in. I've got a fire core performance distributor for it, and I do have the metal strips to put on there. Y'all don't worry about those. And I've got my AED 750 carburetor stick back on, and that'll be great. So sometime soon they're gonna have to get together. Hopefully I'll come back for it. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll catch you next time. All right, Mopar people.